Assalamu alaikum and happy Monday. Welcome to Sajdah's Monday morning motivation on the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. Get in the room, tell a friend. Today we're going to talk about our health. We got to take care of our bodies. We got to take care and address these health issues if we're going to be out here getting this money in 2024 and beyond. No, I'm really being serious, but seriously, as a conscious entrepreneur, we're talking about being well-rounded people, well-rounded entrepreneurs. So it's time today for us to talk about our health. All right, so tell a friend, grab your tea, grab your coffee. I'm drinking me some hot matcha tea this morning, and tune in after these few commercials.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome to the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. It is Monday morning, time for Monday morning motivation. How are you guys doing? Y'all ready to get the week started? We're going to talk today about a subject that a lot of us don't like to talk about, a subject that we avoid and run away from, but we're going to talk about it today. What y'all sipping on? I got this morning. I got some hot matcha tea. I love matcha tea. It is a caffeinated tea, and y'all know I try to stay away from caffeine, but it's very smooth and it's great for antioxidants. It's good for your skin, good for your immune system. So I love it, love it, love it. Um, so I'm excited. I'm excited about my life. And how many of us can honestly say right now, look, I'm really excited about my life? Um, and I can honestly say that. I navigated through some challenges, and we're going to talk about some stuff today. All right. So, welcome everybody that's in the chat. Our reference book for today, we're going to focus on our health because as entrepreneurs, we're talking about our spirituality, we're talking about not being afraid to incorporate our spirituality in what we do. Well, we have to make sure that we're not afraid to address our health. A lot of us take doing for self to mean only I just got to get up and own my own business. I got to get up and do something for myself. Doing for self means taking charge of yourself and owning yourself. Okay. So many of you all know that probably now 14 years ago, I started out on a journey in the healthcare field. And I learned a lot. I observed a lot. And one of the things that we used to talk about in the office, and my business partner used to say this to me. He said, if nothing else, you can help your family and friends. And to hear that coming from a surgeon, somebody who's very vested in healthcare, was very powerful to me. And as I started talking to doctors and I started really spending a lot of time with new graduates, new doctors who, because of how we see the field of medicine, if a person says, I'm a doctor, I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm a nurse, or I'm going to be a nurse, we put that person almost next to God. Oh yeah, they know. And this is not a show bashing healthcare or doctors. It's really a show of putting things into perspective. We know that Western medicine and the industry of healthcare, just like the food industry, has been industrialized and monetized to the extent that they then began to reverse engineer it. So in the school system, our lessons as a national healthcare system, unless you send your child to a private school like Muhammad University or something like that, is based on supporting the industrial revolution and the manufacturing plants and teaching your child how to be, or teaching all of us how to be good employees. Same thing happens in healthcare. Some of the things that people will go out and they will learn in medical school, in healthcare, will be things that support and allow them to check the box when they become a clinician. So they'll do well in the hospital. And a lot of these doctors, we struggled with them because they didn't shift over well into an independent environment because they're not really clinicians. They kind of just learn how to check the box, how to go through the routine side of it. And in full disclosure, my doctorate is a honorary doctorate degree. I spent a lot of time in medicine. I developed a pretty decent clinical intuition, which I would say is a gift that's probably ancestral. But None of that is how I'm coming at us today. I'm really telling us, and I want to talk to us and give us some support on the best health advice that I've ever seen. Many of you all know that I've been a member of the Nation of Islam since 1990, and obviously we learn about fasting and that they now call intermittent fasting. We learned about our 3-day fast and all of that stuff. Um, and sometimes over time we don't follow it. And when we start to not follow it, or we follow some other kind of healthy routine, um, some of us go to the gym and they tell us, well, you got to figure out how to consume 1,600 to 1,800 calories a day. You're like, what? And then you start trying to do it. And you start working out and you eat a protein shake after your workout, or they tell you, well, you should get up in the morning and eat some fruit and all of this stuff. And then you start to creep away from your one meal a day in the name of added health. That happened to me. And even though you're getting in shape, you're working out, you can lift heavy, you can do all this stuff, but your muscles are stiff, your joints aren't good. It don't do any good to be 80 years old with a bunch of muscles if you can't stretch and get your own self up off the couch. That's another story. But and I would go through phases of like, you know what, let me get back on my one meal a day. What am I doing? What am I doing? But every time, just the long-term benefits are amazing. I'm blessed to come from a family where a lot of us look really young, well into older age, but you can't just rely on that. We also have had people who checked out at a very early age. So the best thing to do, y'all, is to follow the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when it comes to diet. And as conscious entrepreneurs, I was having a conversation the other day with a Muslim in business. We were talking about our youth and our children. We were saying we raise them in private schools. We protect them. We cocoon them in a certain environment, in a certain community. We protect them. And then we turn around and we send them out into the world. We send them to an HBCU or a PWI, and we expect them to survive with little or no support. They come back home and we send them to work in work environments where they're learning bad habits, and we expect them to survive. And I was saying to this person, I said, listen, our generation has an obligation. We can't do like many in the generation before us and just say, look, you turn 18, get on up out of here. Our parents' generation was the first generation that was able to go downtown and get that corporate job. They had certain freedoms that their parents didn't have. And they did the best they could at raising us, but most of us were latchkey kids. Put that key around your neck, get your so-and-so in the house, don't open the door for nobody, and I'll see y'all when we get home. So our parents were young, they worked, they had to have a social life. And in a lot of ways, we were in the way. And then all of a sudden they introduced crack cocaine into our community. And many of our generations got sucked up because no matter what our parents told us, no matter how far outside into the suburbs or how nice the house was, many of them still got hooked on crack or some type of drug. So it's easy to turn people out. So we were talking about that. And what I was saying to him was, you know what? We got to work hard to create the infrastructure that we are going to pass on to our children. And instead of allowing them to come home and like they flailing around in the streets, if you got a business, bring your child home and allow them to work in the business. Just because they majored in something don't necessarily mean that that's what they need to work in when they get home. I went to school, I majored in engineering the first 2 years. Then I went into accounting and finance. I only went into engineering because somebody talked me into it. I had a counselor that said, you got good math and science scores. You should either be a doctor or an engineer. And I even thought about being a psychiatrist. I had an internship at a psych ward at the University of Chicago, and I saw them shock trauma in people, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And I said, I'm going back to my original thing of being a mogul, accounting, finance, and went into business. But I use just about all of that. I use engineering on a daily basis. I use my healthcare interests and studies on a daily basis. I use accounting, I use finance. So you don't have to define yourself by what you went to school for. So let's let go of that. But bring your children back and let them work in these businesses. If we are a business owner and we don't have any children that, or if we have children that are not interested in our business, find a young person that is like-minded so that they can inherit your infrastructure and your business when you're gone. If you are a single person and you have a business, you have assets, find somebody that before you die can inherit your stuff and multiply it while you're gone. Not going to squander it, but that's going to really multiply it. I've had a lot of seniors in the Nation of Islam say to me, you know what, Sister Sajdah, because you have the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, I want you to have my archives. I want you to have my documents. And inshallah, be it the will of Allah, if it is my will, or my desire, if it's up to Allah, it is my will. If it's his will, I'm going to make sure and do everything I can to push those people's legacies forward. And we'll talk about that as we get closer to our opening this year. So let me tell you a quick story about myself, and then I'm going to show a video for you. It's going to be of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talking about eating one meal a day. Look, I know they're going to block this. They're going to demonetize it. But most of what I talk about, they block and demonetize. I had the show on making big decisions, and I got an email. This cannot be shown in certain areas. This is not a topic that supports our community guidelines. So I need you all to make this go viral. Okay. I'm not one of these podcasters where because what I talk about and what I'm connected to and how, I'm fervent about passing this information on and really helping us to open up businesses. But when you start talking about money and spirituality and manifestations, the algorithms or the people don't like it. So I need you all to make it go viral. Make these shows go viral. Make my page go viral. Make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you comment. Make sure you support via Cash App, Sajdah Enterprises, because I think the last 3 or 4 shows I've gotten that email that we violated community guidelines by talking about scammers, by talking about making decisions. And I'm sure we'll violate the community guidelines today by having the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talk to us about eating one meal a day. Let me say this. I had strayed away from my one meal a day. And in probably right around Thanksgiving or so, I was like, let me get myself back together. I started getting strict on my one meal a day. No protein shakes after the workout. No, nothing in the morning. Really strict on the one meal a day. And by Savior's Day, I had lost about 20 pounds. And since Savior's Day, it's been about another 8. Okay. So altogether, almost 28 pounds. When I was in Houston 3 weeks ago, I had brought clothes that I hadn't worn a lot, and I had to find safety pins to pin my clothes up and put myself back together. And so the point being is that weight creeps on fast. And sometimes you may not see it externally. You may look in the mirror and say, I still look relatively fit. I'm a curvy girl, so I'm like, okay, still looking good. But sometimes on the inside, all that fat that's packed in there, that's jammed in there behind that muscle, we got to lose that. But just getting back to my discipline. And in getting back to my discipline, my mind got clearer. I felt better. And now I'm committed to, I ain't doing that again. So I want us to listen to this And I'm going to take myself off the screen once I get it up here and going. But listen to what the minister says. It's about 6 minutes or so, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to go into the lessons a little bit about healthcare, and then we'll start our Monday. This is designed for Monday morning motivation. Monday morning, start right now, start today, taking charge of your health. Stop leaving our health to the algorithm, to the clinical guidelines that aren't oftentimes meant to support our health. And I can talk for days about that, but I'll be back. Okay, let's do this.
Muhammad put out 2 beautiful books, How to Eat to Live, Book 1 and Book 2. And you know, I've been fighting cancer, and I know they tried to kill me, but here I stand. But I decided while I was in Phoenix, I said, you know, I've obeyed Elijah Muhammad in everything he asked me to do, except this. What was that, Farrakhan? He said, I want you to eat 1 meal a day, and when you master it, eat once every other day. And when you master that, eat once every 3 days and stay there for the rest of your life. Now, I did everything else he taught me to do that I can recall. But the table, recently, I broke my discipline because I had a plausible excuse. I had this cancer and I can't fast on Ramadan anymore. So I started eating. And I looked at myself one day, because usually you don't really look until it's so terrible. You're afraid to look. I don't know. I just looked one day and I said, hey, I'm going back to the way I was taught. And I started on 1 meal a day. Nothing in between. I said, you know what? I'm going to try to fast. Because I used to fast all the time. And I fasted 3 days. And during my 3-day fast, I didn't eat or use any of the medicine that the doctors gave me. And my man that's with me all the time, he take my blood pressure every day. I'm in good shape. Wait now. I noticed the fat begin to leave, you know. And I started thinking of you. And when I got to Chicago, I came out Thursday to the laborers meeting, and I saw the way y'all was looking at me. They were looking at the minister and said, ooh. Ooh, 85 and ooh. Now wait, I'm trying to tell you something. You can win the battle of the bulge.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I want you to try.
Yes, sir.
Because you should love you and want to see yourself living to see your children and grandchildren grow up because the enemy is poisoning the air, the water, the food, the earth, and your body. Even if you eat the best of foods, your body is filled with toxins. And the toxins in your blood have reached your brain. What did you say my name was? Farrakhan, right. Now you can't remember yesterday, and you can hardly remember this morning. Onset Alzheimer's. And you've got people that have lived on this earth for 3, 4, 5, 600 years and die in their right mind. And you're in your 60s, falling apart. And some of you look like you may not make it into the 60s. So I said yesterday to the nation, I'm going to try to be your example for the rest of the time that I'm with you, because there's no reason for us to die and it take 10 pallbearers and a crane.
Oh man, I love him. Thank Allah for our Father. Oh my goodness. So that's the minister talking to us about one meal a day, eating one meal a day to get rid of those toxins. And I gave you all my testimony. I'm now over 20 pounds down I never have been a crazy eater. It was just eating those extra meals or extra snacks or the deceptive intelligence. Oh, I worked out, so now I need a protein shake or something like that, that causing those spikes in the blood sugar that make you gain weight. And so for many of us, like the minister said, you're doing everything right. Let's get this part right, and you'll find that your body will return itself to where it needs to be. I've had people say to me, wait, you look like you're aging backwards. Well, it's one meal a day. And so one of the things that's our enemy is that damn sugar. Sugar is the devil. And I started saying that when I was working in healthcare, and I started watching the devastation. My business partner calls it vascular devastation. We actually trademarked that. Vascular devastation, meaning the devastating effects and the rampant way these effects are spreading through our community as a result of us being overweight, as a result of us smoking, as a result of us suffering from diabetes and high blood pressure, as a result of our high cholesterol. And many of us don't think that we are diabetic because we are looking at the definition of diabetes as given to us by the clinical standards. And I would watch people when the doctors in the office would say, okay, so are you diabetic? They say, no, my doctor said I'm borderline diabetes. And my business partner used to go off and he said, no, you either got it or you don't. He said, if they tell you you borderline, then you need to start acting like you got it and start living your life like you have it. And I would just listen. And this was resonating in my spirit as I was, really paying attention to it. And I would see us on the cheap diabetic medications that wasn't helping us lose weight, wasn't countering. But then I would see people who had a little bit more money, especially white people, come in and they on the semi-glutatides, which now they call in Ozempic and Wegovy and all of that. And they come in, they'd be a little bit thinner. Seemed like things were a little bit more under control. So I'm just watching all this disparity. I did a proposal called the Circle of Care. And I won't give away the whole thing, but the Circle of Care was really my design for a hospital circle of care that, inshallah, when I build my next hospital, I'll be able to use. Even though some people stole it, because I sometimes I get really generous with my ideas. But anyway, and I came across some statistics that talked about how over 100,000 Black people die. And this is not, we're not talking about Hispanics or Native Americans or Caucasians. We're talking about Black people. Over 100,000 Black people die every year because of cardiovascular related illnesses. We call it the pandemic before the pandemic. Okay. And a lot of times we think, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me because I work out. Yeah. But you eat 4 or 5 times a day, or you spike your blood sugar levels 4 or 5 times a day with all these different little snacks and things that you do throughout the day. And so really your body is functioning in a milder way, if you will, as if somebody that has diabetes. So the devastation is still impacting you. Why? Because you're still overweight, blood pressure is up, depressed, toxins in the body. This is a devastation that is rampant in our community. But you know what? Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, knew this. I'm telling y'all, they're going to block this. So I need y'all to make my videos and stuff go viral. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell somebody else to like and subscribe. We got to go viral the old-fashioned way, because when you start combining spirituality with health, spirituality with money, they get blocked. And like I said, the last shows we did, making decisions and dealing with the process of scammers and things like that in business, they blocked it. They told me, oh, this violates community guidelines. So like and subscribe, share, and give a love offering. Because when you're blocked, it becomes difficult to monetize, because they will tell you, you violate the community guidelines and you can't monetize. So if you violate the community guidelines, the algorithm is not going to spread your video, and then you're not going to be able to monetize it. And generally, it's because of the spirituality with money. And, well, that's generally. But Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, knew that we were going to be suffering at this pandemic level like this. So when he prescribed and gave the prescription of how to eat to live to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that was then reduced to a book, 2-volume book form, it was a prescription to help us get up out of this. See, because when you're eating too much, you got all kind of dementia. You have vascular related dementia. You have diabetes related dementia. You just have dementia because your mind is so busy focused on trying to digest. Many of us are still full from last night, but we're going to get up this morning and eat breakfast. See, that's not necessary. You got to get yourself to the point where you're at that fasting state so that your body and your bones start to reproduce. The cells start to tear away at the toxins. Your body starts to produce its own, through the bone marrow, its own stem cells. And you're going to see the aging process. Now, the minister said he come out and we'd be like, woo, that's those internal stem cells regenerating. But Master Farad Muhammad knew this. And so in the problem book that we have in Supreme Wisdom, he addressed it in a few places. And I'm going to show you where it's at. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, just listen. We have a book that in the beginning of the problem book, Master Farad Muhammad wrote this. This book teaches the lost foundation of Islam a thorough knowledge of our miserable state of condition in a mathematical way. when we were found by our Savior, W.D. Farrar. Anyway, that was not written by Master Farrar Muhammad. That's probably written by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I don't know who wrote that. But I'm going to say Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because we got so caught up in the 50s, 60s in race that we've reduced the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to teaching about race, but he's really teaching science. He's not teaching, he's teaching a mathematical and a scientific way to live. Check this out. In these problems, here's a few of them. The first one says, the uncle of Mr. W.D. Farrar lived in the wilderness of North America, and he lived other than his own self. And we've talked about accepting ourselves, living other than ourselves, eating 5-6 times a day. Therefore, his pulse beat 78 times per minute, and this killed him in 45 years of age. Then it goes on to ask how many times did his pulse beat in 45 years. But this fast pulse beat that he has, probably tachycardia, that's cardiovascular disease, sometimes caused by high blood pressure, because when your pressure is beating so hard like this up against your vessels, you're tearing away at the tissues. Then you got blockages caused by eating the wrong foods with the deposits of fatty deposits and things like that. So you got some kind of obstruction in the vessels. And then you got the heart trying to get that blood through those narrow vessels because of that obstruction that's in there. And so the heart is beating harder and faster and harder and faster and harder and faster. Well, it's beating harder and faster than what it was designed to do. So it's tearing up the tissue. Let's go on. Here's the next one. So that one is addressing cardiovascular disease. The second one says, the wife of Mr. W.D. Farrar's uncle in the wilderness of North America weighs other than herself. What are the 6 risk factors associated with cardiovascular disease? Being overweight, diabetes, high blood pressure, smoking, over the age of 50, and high cholesterol. 6 risk factors. So the wife of Mr. W.D. Farrar's uncle in the wilderness of North America weighs other than herself. Therefore, she has rheumatism, headaches, pain in all joints, and cannot walk up to the store. When we are doing a vascular evaluation, one of the things we talk to the person about is, how do you feel if you're walking? Do you walk a little bit and you can't walk anymore because your legs start to hurt? Is it half a block claudication? Can you walk a full block? Master Farrar Muhammad said this one cannot walk up to the store. So let's assume they live in a community where the store is up the street. Guess what that is? That's intermittent claudication, cardiovascular disease. Then he goes on to say, she has trouble frequently with high blood pressure, a risk factor associated with cardiovascular disease. He knew we were about to be dying by the hundreds of thousands from these risk factors. Okay, her pulse is nearly 80 times per minute, and she died at the age of 47. Okay, let me give you another one. The uncle of Mr. W.D. Farrar lives in the wilderness of North America, and he is living other than himself. Therefore, he weighs more than his height, and his blood pressure registers more than 32. This killed him at the age of 44 years. He even goes deeper and says the average person breathes 3 cubic feet of air per hour, but the uncle of Mr. W.D. Farrar breathes 3 7/10 of a cubic foot per hour. So he's talking about how much air you sucking up because you got shortness of breath, because your heart and your pulmonary exchange is bad, cardiovascular disease. Here's another one. I've given you 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to give another one. Here's another one. The second uncle of Mr. W.D. Farrar in the wilderness in North America lived other than himself, and therefore his blood pressure registered over 32. He had fever, headaches, chills, grip, hay fever, regular fever, rheumatism, also pain in all joints. He was disturbed with foot ailments and toothaches. Y'all see what happens a lot of times when people are diabetic? They come in with those diabetic ulcers. You can look at somebody and tell by the way they walk, and you will know whether or not they have arterial or venous obstruction or issues in their legs. That's normally where it attacks. It's the smaller vessels. So small vessels, and it's systemic. So a lot of times they send us for a heart scan, but they forget about everything else. So we practiced osteopathic medicine, which is the whole body. So we already know if you got blockages in your heart, you probably got blockages in your feet. You probably got some obstruction in your brain. You may have issues here with your carotid artery, with the blood being able to get from your heart to your brain. This is vascular devastation. This is cardiovascular disease, and the Savior already knew it. Let's see if it says in any, if I can find, I'm sure I can find more of that in here. I just want to give you an example for those of us who are sleep on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what he taught us and what he told us to do. If I can work out and do CrossFit and go to all these different people's nutrition classes and hear what they got to say and all these shakes and this and that, and I can find certain supplements that are good for my body and eat one meal a day and lose almost 30 pounds in a few months, then that means that you don't need all these drugs and stuff that are out here. I'm just saying. So we got to focus on this. This is Monday morning motivation, family. Let's do it. A lot of us don't address our health issues unless somebody tells us that we should. A lot of us even limit our approach to health to what the insurance company will pay for. Did you know that high-level thinking people will say, okay, I got someplace where I'm off. I'm diseased. What do I do? And they will go deeper into what is causing that. They will go into studying the meridians or the energy highways in the body that are responsible for carrying and holding and transporting blood and other fluids around the whole body. See, everything begins with the blood. It's all about vascular, cardiovascular. How are those fluids? How are your lymphatic systems draining? You got 3 systems. You got the arterial system, which takes the blood from the heart to the rest of your vital organs. Then you have the venous system, which is the return system. It's a little slower than the arterial system. And then you have the lymphatic system that is very slow. Why is it that Japanese people, they call Japan in the blue zone? Why do they live longer? Well, part of it is because they have a lot of companionship and community support of their lifestyle. We live in a world of rugged individualism. Be by yourself, stick by yourself, don't talk to nobody, don't trust nobody. That's aging us. We don't have a family member, a friend, but the Japanese live longer than any other people on earth because of their diet, their lifestyle, and the healthcare system. They should be saying the Muslims who follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad live the longest. They say, well, it's because they eat a lot of vegetables. They cook their food differently. They drink a lot of tea. They consume a lot of fresh foods. They use smaller plates. They walk and stand and squat more. They have morning exercise on the radio. Okay, they have universal health care. But y'all, this rugged individualism is killing us. We buy ourselves, we roll by ourselves, we don't mess with nobody, we don't like nobody. You are a human being. You need to find you somebody that you can interact with and connect with. Find a way to be routinely communal with people. And I'm talking about where you can, I'm not talking about just some of y'all like, okay, once a month I'm gonna go to bingo. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about where you interact with somebody you talk to, somebody you spend time with. There's people that go years without human touch. Did y'all know that? Years without human touch. I learned that in the wellness industry when I owned a massage envy. There are people who get monthly massages because they need human touch. They've gone years without having another human being even to touch them. This is rugged individualism. This is not how we're supposed to live. And I'm not talking about get out the gutter. I'm not even talking about sexual touch. I'm talking about just human touch. Somebody that loves you, that touches you, that holds your hand, puts their arm around you. Somebody that loves you, that can look at you with love in their eyes, face to face. Somebody that just gives you a warm hug. This is a way of living that we've gotten away from as humans. We're living like some daggone animals up in a cave. And we got to get out of this. We got to get our diet right. We got to return to love. I think it was Marianne Williamson who said, hate has spoken loud enough for so long. Now love has to stop whispering. Stop whispering your love. If you love, show it, say it, be it. Stop hiding if you don't feel good. Talk to somebody who loves you. Guess what? You know, we talked about the Obama effect, and this is taking it off a little bit off subject, but how when he became president, so many more Black children that they tested did better in school. Do you know just knowing that somebody loves you or has confidence in you and cares about you can make you do better? Somebody just saying to you, man, you look so good. You look beautiful. Can change the way you make a decision. It's going to alter your emotional intelligence. But we like, I don't care about nobody. I don't trust nobody. Man, nobody's asking you to hand your life over to that person. So let's stop with this. We got to heal, y'all. Let's stop with all this trauma that we keep passing on, that keeps showing up in all of our decisions, that keeps showing up in why we eat the way we do. Okay, I get upset. I'm going to eat me some ice cream and cake. Do you know when people go to drug rehab, they tell them that when you crave the drug, eat some ice cream? And you wonder why a lot of people come back from rehab fat and why so many of them suffer from diabetes. That ain't cute. Not to mention the ice cream that's out here ain't even real. Start looking at ingredients. We came in the Nation of Islam. We got an ingredient list. So stay away from these ingredients. The best way, if you don't have that ingredient list, if you look on there and it's got a bunch of stuff you can't recognize, then you shouldn't be eating it. If you go to the store to get ice cream and there's all these chemicals in there other than ice cream, milk, butter, then you probably shouldn't be consuming it in the first place. Make an extra effort to eat fresh foods. Eat in season. Wherever you live right now, what's in season? Find that. There's fresh markets. Now we have so many urban gardens. It may take a little bit of extra step, but you got to stop being so scared. Go to those places, pull up. You see the farmer's market, pull up. Get you some fresh vegetables. A lot of people celebrate Cinco de Mayo yesterday. Did you go and get fresh salsa or did you go buy it out of a jar? When you walk in the store and everything is canned and jarred and plastic and in all of these containers, well, it takes chemicals to allow it to stay in that container unless it's properly canned, the way we're taught to do in the Nation of Islam. And 9 times out of 10, it's not. It takes too much time. So they throw it in a bottle, in a plastic bag, in a can. They sprinkle it with some chemicals, and then they sell it to us. It has a shelf life of maybe a year, 6 months. You know, nowadays they got cheese that don't even melt. Please look on your ingredients. Look on the back. Look at the ingredients. They have cheese that does not even melt. Cheese is a dairy product. When you put heat to it, it should melt. But did you know that not all cheese melts nowadays? Nowadays it's saying melting cheese. Come on, family. We got to do better. We got to take charge. We got to eat our one meal a day. We got to get our water done. I was so grateful for Ramadan because I was starting to feel a little bit like, okay, I'm feeling a little weak. I can have this or that. Ramadan helped me because I went right through those 30 days continuing with my one meal a day. I just didn't have the water a day. But now I can drink my tea in the morning. I got some matcha tea in the morning. Cut down on that sugar. That sugar is the devil. Most of the people that I would see coming in the office, and I'm going to start giving some of these testimonies without giving people's name. It's the sugar. The sugar addiction is real. It is a drug. And people use, it's just like a drug addict. People use deceptive intelligence to go, oh, you know, I can have a little cookies and milk before I go to bed. Or I'm going to give me a few little cupcakes. Now, if you want to have you something sweet with dessert, that's one thing. But to just be going throughout the whole day, eating your cookies, eating your cakes. And some of us, again, there's deceptive intelligence. We go, well, I woke up this morning, I had a shake. I used to do this. This is how my deceptive, I'm going to talk about myself. This is how my deceptive intelligence used to work. Okay, I know I'm not going to eat till 4. And I already got my fresh vegetables set out. Got me some halal chicken. I'm ready to go. But in the morning, okay, I'm going to have a protein shake. I'm going to make a shake. Throw all these different types of fruits in there. Put a scoop of organic protein up in there. Maybe a little water, maybe a little oat milk, whatever. Blend it up, mix it up. Drink that. Well, to your body, even though you may not feel like it does anything to your digestion, but it does because the sugar kicks up your digestion. Now, I just ate at night. Even though I may have eaten a nice, healthy salad with beautiful, fresh vegetables, I'm messing up the effect of that by getting up in the morning, eating this sweet shake. So guess what? Now, here go your insulin levels. Here go your sugar levels. Pew! Some people say, well, I don't worry about that because I ain't diabetes. I'm not diagnosed as diabetic either. But I know I'm spiking my sugar levels because I got to be a scientist when it comes to my body. I should have let myself wait to get to that fasting state. But instead, here we go. Now, in the book, How to Eat to Live, he says coffee and tea are okay in the morning. You're just not with too much milk and sugar. You don't want to, some people drink coffee and it's this much cream and then this much coffee. Or we drink tea and it's this much cream and then it's this much tea. We shouldn't be doing that. Okay. So that's how I would use it. I would say, okay, this is part of my deceptive intelligence. And then I would go work out. Okay. I may have a cup of coffee or something with a little cream and sugar in it. Then I may go work out, do some yoga, go for a walk. Look, I used to be really big into yoga and I got back into yoga and I'm like, whoa, all these years of lifting weights and doing these boot camps have wreaked havoc on my muscles. So you're talking about stretching and doing some of the poses that used to be so easy for me. Now I'm working at, I am truly practicing yoga because I'm practicing those moves again. And I'm determined to master it. So then work out and go, oh, let me have a recovery shake. Might be a small little thing. Or maybe I skipped the big juice thing in the morning and now I'm having a recovery shake. Well, what do? Spike down, spike again. That's really the equivalent of now you've eaten twice. Then I may not do anything else. And then between 4 and 6, I'll have my meal. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I only ate once a day. No, you really ate 3 times. Because that juice in the morning was probably good enough to be a meal. That shake after your workout was probably good enough to be a meal. Now, I'm not saying you can't rehydrate your body and do some of these kind of things, but you got to be mindful of that. Because, when you go to the gym, the protein bar and the juice bar is right there. And they tell you, have you a protein bar or something like that before you work out. Well, then you just ate again. So, and then sometimes we go, well, I'm good because from a calorie standpoint, I've only had 800 calories. But how much sugar have you had? It's that daggone sugar that's the devil. And I'm going to say this. If you know that you have a parent or a grandparent who has suffered from cardiovascular disease or is currently suffering high blood pressure, stroke, diabetes, high cholesterol, then you know that genetically your body may respond to things the same way that they responded to it. So you got to look at that and go, you know what? I gotta make some adjustments here. Make sure you're getting your supplements in. A lot of us are mineral deficient, vitamin deficient. So we have to be thinking about that. This is why when the COVID-19 virus started to spread and went rampant in our community, we died the quickest. Why? Because cardiovascular disease had already been rampant. Then you introduce into the system of these weakened systems, into these people, this disease. Ooh, I know they're going to block this. You introduce this disease that is a vasculotropic disease that travels through your bloodstream and causes blood clots and all these other vascular devastated events that happen in our community. All of a sudden, people got blood clots. And, I think they had an aneurysm. They diagnosing people in weird ways. People came out of the pandemic bigger than they ever were. Then we start getting all these vaccines, and all these vaccines keep introducing the virus into our system. Well, our systems are already weakened. If you look at the on average numbers, because we got over 100,000 of us that died from cardiovascular disease. That means that almost every single one of us have one of those 6 risk factors. Now, if we're over the age of 50, we can't do nothing about that. So that's already number 1. And I'm going to tell you one last thing before we go. 90% of our patients either smoke now or they smoked back in the day. And people would say, I haven't smoked in 30 years. But you still did some damage to your vessels. Some people come in having suffered from secondhand smoke. So we got work to do. We got to be around here. We got generational wealth that we have to make sure that we pass on. So let's start taking care of our bodies. Let's use this Monday morning motivation to start today. Start right now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till June 1st. Don't wait till next Monday. Start right now today. Do what you can. Get up right now. Go get you some tea. Get you some water. And get your discipline together. If you can't control what puts in your mouth, then you can't manifest a business. You gotta control yourself first. Okay, so let's get our discipline in order, y'all. This is our Monday morning motivation, and I know it's a little heavier than what we needed it to be. We done been all up in the supreme wisdom and listen to the minister, but please, family, focus on your health. There's too many of us that are overweight and we think it's cute. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of times we're bigger than maybe the average person in other communities. Some of us are just big people. And I'm not talking about that. And here's one last thing. We have to take charge of our health, because many of the algorithms and the standards of care that are designed to diagnose and determine disease are not based upon people from our body type. Number one example, saying that somebody's blood pressure should be 123 over 90 or 75, 123 over 75, or whatever they say it is. What was the age, weight, and race of the person that algorithm was based on? This is not racism. This is science. And I believe, don't quote me, I'm going to look this up and come back. I believe it was a 23-year-old Caucasian woman. So when you take a 200-pound Black man with a big body mass and you start medicating him to the point where his blood pressure matches that standard, which is based off of a 23-year-old, 120-pound or 115-pound Caucasian woman, you're going to shut down his organs. That's why when you go to the dialysis center, most of the people on dialysis are Black men. You wonder why you got erectile dysfunction, because you're not getting enough blood down there. You wonder why you can't think straight, because you're not getting enough blood down there. There's not enough pressure going into the vessels. So your blood pressure cannot be matched to a 123-year-old white woman that's 20-something years old. When you start talking about aneurysms, most people who die of aneurysms are women, mainly Black women. Why? Because the determination to determine whether or not your vessels are aneurysmic are based on men. So when a woman has an enlarged vessel or an aneurysmic vessel, she may not meet the measurement, the box that's checked, so she may not be ordered for surgery. She may not be ordered to go get that CAT scan or that ultrasound on her aorta or whatever. She may not be ordered for that. Why? Because the insurance company ain't going to pay for it, because she don't meet the standard. Well, the standard is not based on her. The standard is based on a male. Don't get me started out here. Don't get me started. I know some stuff, and I'm going to tell y'all about it. So anyway, happy Monday, everyone. I hope this wasn't too heavy for y'all. Y'all know they are not going to share this. They're going to send me the email afterwards and say that I violated the community guidelines. So we got to make the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel go viral the old-fashioned way. Spread it and share and tell people. Like and subscribe. Give a love offering. And I appreciate each and every one of you who gave love offerings on Saturday. I promise you, every single day, I'm going to do everything I can to bring, every time I'm out here, to bring information to you that's going to help you to get happier, healthier, wealthier, and experience more love. And the love offering is going to be less than what it's going to cost you if you don't do it. All right. All right. All praises due to Allah. Thank you, everyone. Happy Monday. Stay tuned. I have not decided what we're going to work on this week, but just stay tuned. Thursday night, 7 p.m., Friday, 6 a.m., Saturday, 6 a.m. I'm sure the series will come to me. I'm going to do a little meditating today during my yoga session, and I'll put that in my vibration, and we'll make a decision on that. Okay, family. Love you all. Peace and blessings. Listen, 1 meal a day. Start today. Let's get our diets together. Get off the junk. Get off the sugar. Get off of all of this stuff that's killing us. Many of us are sitting around here dying a slow death. And we got to stop it. And we can stop it. And we can reverse it. And the God knew that this was going to happen to us, but he gave us the solution in advance. We can do it. Peace and blessings, family. Love you all.